Hello and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Manny Friedman, along with my co-host,
Brad Sloan.
All right, and we are now at the business end of the Australian Open. The quarterfinals have approached us, and we are here to discuss all of our bets for the fourth round, and then we'll preview the quarterfinals. So let's get right into it. I will share my screen here. Zoom it in. All right. So I think the last time we ended off at day 5. So I think we're starting on day 6, which is the second half of round 3 into round 4. So Brad, let's start with you today. So what were some of your smartest bets that you had the last couple of days?
So I honestly think my smartest bet, and Manny, you and I have talked about this. I think my smartest bet was one that failed to cash, actually, and that's going to be the MO bet. I'm just going to call it the MO bet moving forward because the bet was Wolf over MO, 6-2 or better in every set to just completely smack him and embarrass him. Which Wolf did
Really
successfully
bet.
smack him smack him and embarrass him. The only problem was that he spent the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 games making, I think, like 15 unforced errors.
Mm-hmm.
So he was actually down a break 4-2. So our bet was dead in the water right away. But then once he woke up and started playing tennis, I think he went like 6-2-1 and like 2-1 in love or something. Like it was just complete domination after that. So that was awesome. Another one I hit that was a great bet.
What were the odds on that? What were the odds on that Mo bet?
135 to 1.
That's insane. That's insane. I mean, I tailed you on that. I mean, I didn't think it would have a good chance of hitting. It was just like I just saw 135 to 1 and I was like, that's unbelievable. But it actually, I mean, what was it? 2 games from cashing?
Yeah, and like Wolf like
started super slow, right?
He couldn't hit the ball in the first 4 games. I mean, it was literally, I think he had 15 unforced after 4. Like you and I was laughing. I was like, I hope this goes 5 sets so that way Wolf can have 100 unforced errors, like just for the comedy of it. And then, but then as soon as he started to play decent tennis, like Mo, I watched the match. Mo had no shot.
No shot.
Like Mo cannot create any offense.
He can't. I mean, he's a good mover around the court, but like, I mean,
he's a good defender. He just can't transition. No offense. It's like
it shows how bad Zverev's form is. The fact that Mo beat him, right? I think that's.
Oh yeah. I mean, Zverev should have just dictated with his ground strokes. Zverev should have just owned the point. Should have just point construction and destroyed him. I mean, it's really, and you're right. Mo isn't really a player we probably need to talk about a whole lot. He's a challenger guy. I mean, he'll probably stay there. But Zverev is obviously a player worth talking about, and he's just, he hasn't had a single result yet that showed any faith.
That was also a good bet because if you look at his stats, Michael Mo, like the amount of like 6-3, 6-2, and 6-1 sets he's played is staggering, actually, because he has no offense.
But it makes sense, right? If he falls behind, like if the other guy's playing well, like what does he do?
Nothing.
Right? Like there's nothing. He has no response, and he can't even like change the momentum. Anyways, probably enough on that. Although Wolf's a really interesting player to talk about as well. That match with Shelton was amazing.
Yeah.
Another one I hit that didn't hit that was a great bet was I had RBA at 16 to 1 to not double fault against Murray, and he hit 1.
That's a great bet.
So that was, but again, it didn't cash. So it's so disappointing because I'm down like I was only down like I think I want to say like 4 units over the past 3 days, which is like I mean it's not great, but given that I missed on these long shots by like just barely, it's not as horrible as you'd think.
Yeah, if you cash one of these long shot bets, I mean that puts you in the green for a while, right?
Exactly. Oh. So it's not as bad as it feels. I've had a lot of success on Lehecka too. I mean, we talked about this. Yeah. He's been really, really good. He's a player who's just been really, I think in my mind, he's probably the guy who's impressed me the most this tournament. Partially because I thought he was going to lose to Coric in round one in straight sets. But
that match has scarred you.
it's something the opposite. Like now I can never doubt Lehecka again. Like I cannot bet against him ever again. I'm just done betting against him.
I mean, just think of his run though. I mean, he beat Coric, who's a top 30 player. He beat Nori, who's a top 15 player. He beat FAA. I mean, this is a crazy run.
It is, and I think that on the flip side, we'll talk a little more. I don't think he has a shot against Tsitsipas. I think Tsitsipas is a completely different beast. I mean, I has a chance. Every player has a chance in every match, but I think it's well under 15%.
It's not de Minaur versus Djokovic, but it's he's a long shot for sure.
Yeah, I think that but and I think that FAA actually losing to Lehecka is a concern because I think did Lehecka play well? Yes. Should FAA lose that match still? I don't think so. But yeah, so that was one of my smartest bets because I bet the games on him and I bet the money line, so I hit on both of those. I hit on a few props involving him too.
Yeah.
Like the FAA prop there under 10.5 games in the first two sets. So yeah, overall, like that's just been really good for me.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, those are probably my biggest takeaways. Just looking, in terms of smartest bets. Shelton and Wolf, I called that match really well. I think I posted on Twitter. I said, and a bunch of people liked my post, which was kind of cool. But I said that basically expect the Shelton Wolf match to have few breaks, which it did. Shelton didn't get broken a single time and somehow went 5 sets. And I think he only faced 2 break points. So I hit a bunch of props you can see there on Shelton.
To hit under 5.5 breaks in 5 sets. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, I hit over 10.5 games in the first 2 sets for Shelton. I hit I hit a bunch of stuff there. I hit Rune, so we can talk about the Rune Rublev match, but I hit on Rune to have more than 5.5 doubles. So I think that was a good
yeah. You doubled that. That's crazy. At plus money too. You doubled that.
Yeah. I mean, that was already done by the time it unfortunately, I went to sleep around in the 4th set. I didn't realize what the 4th set were going to be like.
Didn't see the choke job. Consider yourself lucky.
But yeah. But that's my point is that was already clinched by the time I went to bed. Like Rune hit his 6th double like midway through the 3rd set. Like it wasn't even like
it wasn't even close. Question. Agreed.
What?
It wasn't even in question. It was 12 doubles. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, in terms of worst bets, I hit like 8 props on Yoshi. So I said in the last podcast, the gambling strategy now has become find the Yoshi button and just click on anything next to Yoshi and watch your bank account.
You may have to revisit that.
We might because Yoshi did not eat the opposition on when he played Khachanov last round. I mean, I'm not sure what happened. What?
At points in that match, he was down love, and 6-love, 6-love, 2-love.
It was 6-love, 6-love, 2-love. Yeah, it was really bad.
And the props
and obviously you're not going to hit on many props that are for one guy when the guy loses the first set, 2 sets, 0-6-0-6.
Yeah. And then on Bovada, I think they have a prop that's love, and love, and it's like what 300 to 1. It's like something.
Yeah, and it was legitimately in play.
It was
way too deep into that crazy match. Then Yoshi woke up and actually played okay in the 3rd set, but it was it was weird, and there was no reason to think that would have been love and love. Like just no reason to think that.
No. I did think Khachanov was going to win that pretty convincingly. I thought it would be maybe 3-3-6 or, maybe Yoshi steals a set, but like I didn't think it would be like that. So that was surprising. But he made the 3rd set competitive. Credit to him. So
yeah, I mean, look, Yoshi. Yeah, I mean, Yoshi he did fight. I mean, that guy does do that, right? Like that's the one thing is going to happen with him is he's going to fight. But Khachanov's been really good.
He has
been. Khachanov's been really impressive this tournament too. I mean, for me, Lehecka is by far the most impressive guy, but then Khachanov would be second on my list.
And that match against Tiafoe was actually a very high quality match. Like thinking back to it, we were together and we watched a lot of it. Like that was a very high quality match. I think that may have been one of the higher quality matches between 2 guys that we've seen in the early rounds.
I would say so. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
because I think if Tiafoe gets through that, like he's probably the one in the quarters, you know? So,
Yeah. I think so. I think that's a
right.
fair statement. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then obviously, I mean, for me, like the most painful bet was what has to have been it's probably the same one as you, the room choke job. I mean, that's by far that's an all-timer in terms of chokes.
Absolutely. I mean, you didn't have the Rune money line, but you had the Rublev Rune no tie breaks, which is painful.
Yeah.
The fact that he had 5-2, 5-4,
5-2, surfer it twice, and then at 5-4, 40-15. Yeah, was pretty
that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. That being said, this cashed really easily the over 3.5 sets. Like we knew it would be a tight match, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I've had a lot of success betting the over 3.5 sets on tight matches. So that might be a takeaway for me going forward too.
Definitely. If you can get a price anything under than -200, I would hit that.
I mean, not any match, but any match between evenish guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, that's one of my bets for tonight, actually. I have I've got Khachanov Korda at -200 to go over 3.5 sets.
That's pretty good. Yeah. So I mean, overall, so like, how did you do as a whole? Like, did you calculate your record like this?
Yeah, I didn't calculate my record. I looked at just units. I think I was like -4 units or something across the 3 days. So not great, but again, like we just talked about a whole bunch of like long shots that missed, right? And I think if you look, like it's been really unfortunate. I think I'm like 0 for 13 on like long shots above +500. Like it's been really and a lot of them have come close, right? Like again, we talked about like the MO one is the mostly the best example, but like a Goot came a tiebreak away. I've had a few others come pretty close. I just haven't hit yet. So I'm hoping it's just a matter of time until I hit a few and get back to even. I think it is. Like I think they've been pretty decent bets. But obviously some stinkers in there too. I think, obviously the Yoshi match was an example of a stinker. And then I didn't do too much better on quarter her catch either. So
yeah, that was a painful match for me too. I mean, I'll get into my bets, but yeah. So for me, I mean, as far as my smart bets, I thought we just touched on the Khachanov Nishioka. I hit the Khachanov minus where was it here? Khachanov -1.5 sets. I thought that was a pretty good bet. I just think, like Khachanov just has a lot of firepower, and he's been good in slams recently, and Nishioka has not been.
But okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. So has Khachanov really been good in slams recently? He did make the semis of the US Open last year, but that was the first deep slam run he had, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But I think what helps him nowadays is like his level doesn't dip too much, right? His base level has gotten better.
He's gotten better. I mean, he did almost lose a set to Bernabe in the first round.
It's true. It's true.
But I on both sides of that a little bit because I think you're partial. I think his base level is better than it used to be.
Well, 2 years ago, I saw more dips in his play, but recently I haven't seen as many dips. So I think that's what's allowing him to have the results he's had.
And also that might be true that he's not having as many dips in like matches against equal competition. Because he can probably get away. He can get away with the dip versus Bernabe, right? Yeah. If there's one dip when he's playing Bernabe, he can get away with that. He can't get away with that so much against guys, of his level. Now, I think the next step for Khachanov, the problem that I have still is that we still haven't seen him beat a top guy.
Yeah. Yeah, his record against top 10 players is terrible. So, but I mean, we'll get it more into the Korda match today, but Korda's not top 10.
No,
he's not, right? I mean, he's shown signs of playing like a top 10 player, like against Medvedev, but the match against Hurkacz was not top 10 level, right?
No.
So, yeah. So, I mean, I think that matchup against Yoshi is a good one for him because like Khachanov's backhand is really good. His backhand down the line, especially, that's his best shot. So that loopy forehand by Yoshi to his backhand side doesn't really hurt him that much, considering Khachanov is a big guy and can like take the backhand on the rise.
Yeah, it's just weird because Yoshi, I think, had beaten him when he made that run in Washington, right? He beat him 6-6.
It was 6-6.
I thought it'd be a close match. I thought it'd be a competitive match. I thought the whole match would look more like that third set. The third set did. Yoshi just
He just like, I was like, the guy, it's going to be hard for him to hold serve, like Washington, he was on a great run of form. I don't think Khachanov was quite as confident as he was at that point as he is now. So,
well, yeah, he hadn't had the U.S. Open run, right? Like he's playing. I mean, making the semis of a slam helps, right, with confidence.
It does. But yeah. I mean, it was a good win. I mean, it's -127, so it's nothing like special. But like, I just thought that matchup favored him. As far as my other bets, I think my RBA, what was this? This was the third round, but my where is it? RBA to win 3-1 versus Murray at +290. I thought that was a great win.
I think it was good because it was +290, but I do think you got lucky here. I mean, RBA should have won this in 3. He had the only set that was competitive with a tiebreak set. The RBA easily could have won. Like from like I had the other end of this. I had RBA 3-0, and I felt like I got unlucky here.
I just think you have to respect Murray's mental toughness, right? Like he's going to squeak out a set. Like there are very few matches that he plays where he's overmatched and he doesn't squeak out a set. Like
I just thought that I thought that RBA was mentally better. I didn't really see that match. So I didn't I didn't see if he how he lost the second really, but it wasn't a tiebreak. I think it was 9-7, and he might even had set point.
That's
RBA.
True. That's true. So it was lucky. I agree, but
at +290, you're going to need some luck, right? So like it wasn't like if that was like +100 or something, I would have disputed you on that. But I think it's probably still a good bet. It just because it was never in danger of being anything but 3-0 or 3-1.
Right. As far as my other bet,
how about that Murray money line versus RBA there, though, Manny? That plus you hit the hit the Murray money line. What point in the match did you do that?
Let's not talk about that one. And that's probably my dumbest bet. I saw +50, and it was like the only match going on, and I got all excited. It was the middle of the night. Had maybe one too many glasses of wine, and I was just like really excited for the end of that match. And I was like, can Murray do it again? And I'm like, I saw +550, so I think I put half a unit on it, but obviously I lost it. So I think I hit that at 4-all in the third set, because like the third set was tight and it was like a lot of fun. The Djokovic match was like it was going on at the same time, and it was kind of like out of question. Like Djokovic was going to win that. He was up 2 sets to love. So I was like, fully invested in that match. And I was just excited when I saw plus 550, but let's move on from that. That might take my credibility away. As far as my other smart bets, the Sinner Tsitsipas under half a tiebreak. So this was actually, that's the, where is it? Yeah, half a tiebreak. I saw that at +125. So Sinner has not played a single tiebreaker since the U.S. Open quarterfinal against Alcaraz. So every match since then has been like, I mean, I think a few got to 7-5, but he hasn't played a single tiebreaker.
Yeah, I mean, that match was very weird, and that it was 5, like kind of lopsided. Well, I don't know if that's really true. What was weird with that match was that like, so Tsitsipas is a much mentally stronger player than I think people give him credit for a lot of times. Like he really, I mean, he holds it together really well. I think that there were several moments in the first 2 sets of that Tsitsipas Sinner match when Sinner had the chance to win the first 2 sets. He had a bunch of break points. He did break to get back to 4-all in the first set, and then Tsitsipas turned around and broke him right back. Sinner gave him a couple points, but Tsitsipas still like hung in there and made balls to make him do that. I just think it's a really underrated part of Tsitsipas's game. He actually really does like mentally hold it together pretty well. Now, there are many examples of him doing that.
The only match I really didn't see him keep it together mentally was obviously the Djokovic French Open, where he lost that 2-set lead, and then that Kyrgios match at Wimbledon. But other than that, I mean,
but I think that's different, right? Like the Kyrgios match at Wimbledon, I think is a different animal. Like that was like not tennis related, right? That was like Kyrgios got into his head with his antics. I felt like. Okay,
fair. It's a fair point.
Like I feel like, I mean, how many players are gonna do those kinds of antics that Kyrgios does? Like it's Kyrgios and who else? Maybe like Bublik. Like How, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
maybe
and Kyrgios
Mute,
does
like
it on a way higher level than Bublik.
what?
Kyrgios does those antics at a way higher
Yeah, I mean,
level.
there's nobody, and that's the thing, right? There's nobody else on the tour that can match Kyrgios in like pissing somebody
Okay.
off.
I see what you're saying. I do agree with you though that Tsitsipas, like that's a very underrated part of his game, like his mental fortitude. Like he never really kind of gets physically out of it either. Like physically, he's
No,
very
he's very fit for a guy, and
yeah.
that surprises you because he doesn't play long points. He is in that Federer mold of attack, attack, attack. But he is really fit. Like he does not
He does not
it's
give in
not
easily.
because fitness is the problem. It's just because that's his style.
Right. And we talked about this before, like off the pod. Like today's tennis actually favors defensive minded players, right? Players who D up and like don't miss
Yeah,
balls, right? And then can be aggressive in spots. That's how the game has trended, right? So for Tsitsipas to be top 5 consistently with his style is actually quite impressive, and it's a testament to his mental fortitude, in my
yeah,
opinion. So, I mean, you also said that like you said that he's a lock to be in your top 8, right? He's one of the 3 locks due to
yeah,
that fact, right? So,
yeah, yeah.
so, but yeah, Sinner rarely plays tiebreakers for some odd reason. I mean, I like if it
Well, I
was
think
maybe,
he's too mentally up and down.
I
Like,
agree. I agree. So yeah, I mean, I thought that was a good break, like good bet. If Sinner played a tiebreaker maybe like 2 months ago or something, I may have not hit that. But like when it's
yeah.
like 5 or 6 months where you don't play a single tiebreaker, there must be a reason for that. Even if I can't
And
really.
I think it's real. I mean, what's weird is like you wouldn't think it like his game. Like I don't think he breaks. He actually is one of the better returners on tour.
Mhm.
Because he just hits so big.
Yeah.
In terms of winning, in terms of breaking guys, but he doesn't you don't think of it offhand. Like you don't think of him, but I think it's because he has the I like I was amazed at the mental there was a mental gap. That wasn't maybe as big of a mental gap as some matches you see, but there was a mental gap between Sinner and Tsitsipas, and that was the difference.
Mhm.
Sinner was
Definitely.
the better physical player in that match.
Yeah, I would agree with that. From the back of the court, definitely hitting better balls and
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So I mean that goes for my smartest bet. Obviously, we touched on them with Brad, like the Rune Rublev over 3.5 sets was obviously a good bet. I also won 2 bets on that FAA Lechka match with the over on minutes and the over on game on FAA over on games. So I thought this was the only way to play that. Like I wasn't really sure how to play it, but I thought that this was the only way because I was expecting Lechka to win a set there, right? I didn't think he would win the match though. And then like with FAA, I was like, when is this guy gonna finally fucking wake up? You know, like it just like I know his upside, right? So I was like, just it's hard for me to bet his matches when I know his upside. I know he's healthy, but I'm just waiting for him to wake up, right? So I thought that was the only way because if it was 7-7-7 or 6-6-6, I would have hit that. If it goes to the 4 sets, I hit that too. So I thought that was the best way of hitting that match.
Yeah, I mean, I hit that Lechka match in 8 different ways for Lechka. I think 4 or 5 actually, but I won most of them. I mean, I thought that was a match with the books. I mean, I think the books are still catching up to Lechka, although I mean, yeah, I think that I mean, Lechka's really impressive. He's my number one. We'll talk about the tennis takeaways, but he's my number one takeaway.
Okay. As far as my like painful bets, I had a bunch. We could start with the Rune money line versus Rublev. This was just so bad. I'm still like pissed off. Like it's been 24 hours and I'm still furious. So I mean, he had 5-2, 5-4, 40-15, and 5-love in the tiebreak, and he couldn't close it out. So it was terrible. I was quite confident in this bet because like Rune is clearly the better tennis player. If you just like take their tennis ability, I think Rune is much better. If he holds it together mentally, doesn't act like a 19-year-old in spots, stops whining to his box, just keeps his focus, plays a little bit more defense instead of just going like crazy and just trying to out hit everyone. I think he's an easy top 10 player. Like but he just doesn't have that mental makeup that, like, say, Alcaraz has. And that's the difference between the two guys right now. So I was very disappointed. I was very confident in that pick. And like Rublev has been good this tournament, but he's very one-dimensional, right? So if Rublev doesn't make balls or, starts getting frustrated and like, starts tugging on his shirt, like, that's Rune's match to take. And Rune wasn't feeling that well physically too. And he still made that really tight and should have won the match. So
was Rune not feeling well physically? Because I didn't see that or hear about that. And that's been a problem for him in the past.
That's true. I mean, he was like, maybe it was just more mental, but like that when the trainer came out, they were taking his blood pressure and stuff and blood pressure and pulse. And there was, after that, there was nothing. I guess the doctor was like, yeah, you're okay. Like, just keep playing. So maybe he just needed that confirmation or something. So I don't know. He was like complaining that he couldn't really breathe, which was kind of weird. But I think that was more mental than anything. So
haven't we seen that with female players in the past? A few women's players in the past who have had that issue in matches.
I don't know. It was a little bit puzzling, and it gives me the fact that I picked him to be in my top 8, like, gives me some worry, because I think a match like that, it could go one of two ways. It could go like he could be kind of rise up from it and show some strength, but with his like past of not being that mentally strong, I think it goes the other way where it can really hurt him and like kind of damage his season until like the clay.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I'm not as concerned about that. Like, I feel like he's young enough where like you can spin that to say, okay, that's a match you need to get through to get to the top level. Like, you need to go through that choke. Like, that's the choke that almost proves you're there. Like, you need to go through that choke to now next time be ready. But there's really not a reason he would have choked this time, right? Who did he lose to? It was the French last year. He made a deep run, right? Was it quarters or semis? And he lost to
Casper Ruud.
Yeah,
but you never really had the. I mean, he won a set, but you never really had the feeling that he would win that match, right? Ruud was clearly the better player for most of it.
My point is different. My point is that he's made a slam run before, so this isn't the first time he's been here. It wouldn't be like the best win of his career, so it's not a great choke, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it was more painful for the fact that I lost a parlay on that because I had Rune money line, but my other legs were Shelton money line, Paul money line, and Djokovic -6.5, and that would have been like a 10-1 payout. So that made it all the more painful. Plus, I put 2 units on that when probably the cash out, like if I cashed out, it would be like a 98% payout. So it was just, it's just a brutal loss. I mean, what can I say? As far as my other painful bets, I think that this one was pretty bad. The Djokovic -6.5 and under 2.5 breaks. This was bad. I mean, Djokovic was up 2 sets to love, and he was up 2 breaks. He was up 4-1, 2 breaks in the third set. And he just, for some reason, just lost his focus. And Dimitrov got back into that third set and broke twice. So I had the Dimitrov under 2.5 breaks. That lost.
Yeah. So I mean, how do we feel about Djokovic now? Because like I'm a little confused because first round he killed RCB by Anna, but like you expect that. Mm-hmm. Second round he lost a set to Enzo. Granted, it was a 6-7, but I mean, he shouldn't lose a set to Enzo, right? Enzo shouldn't get to like 3 games in a set. He lost. Then he lost. He had that match with Dimitrov was tougher than expected, right? It was 7-6, 6-3, 6-4. So that like Dimitrov kept that very competitive. And from what I had heard and seen, it was more Novak not playing well than with Dimitrov doing anything to really make that competitive. And then
Novak played well. I think Dimitrov was not very opportunistic. I think he could have made it more competitive. He should have won the first set. Like, it's just, there's a big mental gap there, right? So,
but I guess here's my question. So I'm confused because so one match was what I expected out of Novak. Matches 2 and 3 were subpar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now match 4, de Minaur comes out and blows the socks off. And like de Minaur's like that's a get right opponent for Novak. But like this is weird, right? Like you've seen now 1.5 on or like you've seen one okay match, two not good matches, now a good match. So combining that with the hamstring, I'm still kind of confused, but now I'm less
So
confused
he
with the
said he
Demonor
felt.
match.
So he said that he felt much better after the Demonor match. I don't know if that's a product of winning 1, 2, and 1.
Oh,
I
well, I'm
never.
confused by that because again, that's why I'm confused because like, is that a product of winning 1, 2, and 1? Like, how did the hamstring magically heal in 2 days?
I've always thought. I mean, I don't think it's a fake injury, but I've always thought it's no big deal. It's just
It's
like
been exaggerated,
it's
potentially.
been
Yeah,
way exaggerated. So and he's done this stuff before. I think it's a way for him to lower expectations. So I think
yeah,
it's a you know I think he's perfectly fine. And I think the fact that now, he had an easy match, his draw has really opened up. Like we'll get into the Rublev match, but like I think that that's an easy matchup for him. And then it's probably Tommy Paul in the semis, which like, that's easy. So basically he has another week to heal his hamstring before a final. You know, that's the way I look at it. So it's another kind of easy run to a title,
yeah,
you know? So I mean, Wimbledon was the same thing. It was an easy run. Can you penalize him for it? No, but it's are all slams equal? No, you know, in my opinion. There are some slams like the 12 Australian Open when he beat Murray in 5 hours and beat Nadal in 6 hours. Like to me, that should almost be worth two slams, right? Kind of,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's
I get it.
just
I get it.
there are levels to it, right? So
Yeah.
because if he had that draw now with this hamstring injury, I don't think he gets through that. But with Tommy Paul and Rublev, I don't think he even needs to be. I think his 80% Djokovic is good enough.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. But so that was a crappy bet. I mean, that was middle of the night, and I was just like, come on, like just finish him. It was just so aggravating. Um, Probably my dumbest bet was I would say Brooksby money line versus Paul. I know we talked about this before the match. You were all in on Paul, but you were like minus 150 is not a price that you were willing to pay, right? Um, but just Brooksby just doesn't have the weapons, and like after a physical 4-set match with Rude, like he really is a guy that needs to be physically there to have a chance against a quality opponent. And I know you, Brad, you've always talked about him being matchup dependent. So can you get more into that? Because
Yeah, I mean, he's just somebody who I think like, and I have a really hard time figuring out like what that matchup particularly is. I think it's like very specific,
yeah,
but I think like if there's anybody who is a guy who like certain players will want to play and certain players will not, I think it's him because like Brooksby's just missing some parts. Like Brooksby does not come into the net. Like he's not coming in. Like he's just not like he's not comfortable there. He's
yeah,
not hitting big. Like he's just not
mhm,
doing it. Like the serve is getting better. But like he's such a weird player and he uses so many different kind of like weird spins and things also in like weird shots and like
mhm.
kind of weird scrambling, like almost Fabrice Santoro-esque. Like I've seen him go to like a two-handed chop before. Like I've seen him do all kinds of like weird stuff that you would never, but he's good at all of them. Like he's
Yeah,
good enough at all these stupid shots that like they're not actually stupid for him. But it's so weird. I think there's just certain players who deal with that better than others.
right.
And there's like, but it's really hard to tell from a player's game because it might even be more mental than physical, like just whether or not they like what their attitude is about being out there. Like, so he's somebody who like I really look at head to head with, and I'm really, really heavy on the head to head. And if I see that somebody's beaten him badly once, I'm very likely to back that person the second time. Like, I need less head to head data with Brooksby than other players because I just think he's such like a head to head specific guy.
I get what you're saying there. I think like for me, I would think that Rude would actually match up pretty well against him, but he just played tactically such a dumb match, right? So
But that's what I mean, right? That's why it's so weird. Is like some guys just, I think it's really hard because like I think it's because like these pro players, like how often do they play a guy like Brooksby?
never.
Right, exactly. So like they're now in this completely new situation. That's like okay, go out and go and figure this out. This new opponent that
Yeah.
you, and regardless of if you've like regardless of if you've heard of him, because everybody's heard of him now, they know who he is. He's a top 50 guy.
Mhm.
There still is a difference between knowing and hearing of somebody and like actually having seen it, right? It's like the old adage about speed. Like, so you can say somebody, runs a 4.340. You got to watch out for him running deep in football. But until you see that guy run deep, you're like, oh shit, like I didn't realize he was that fast. Right? I think the same thing's true of Brooksby. Like, you're like, all right, watch out for the slice, watch out for the, watch out for the scrambling shots, watch out for the pass, the awkward passes.
Yeah.
Don't come in too much. He's gonna hit the awkward pass. But like you get into a point, you're like, oh, this is where I come in, so I'm coming in, and then he hits an awkward pass. And it takes like 8 of those before you realize, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't come in there. Like, I just think it's right, because he's like mesmerized. I don't know. He's destroyed people who are good players, and then he has like weird guys he just can't compete against. So, I think Tommy Paul might be one of those guys. Now Paul has 5 beatdowns, or 2 matches, 5 sets, and they've all been beatdowns.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at his record, like matches he loses are beatdowns. See, like Paul 1-4-3, Norrie 3-4, Humbert 1-4, Draper 1-2. McDonald was a closer match. Shapo, who's very erratic, like he could have easily. I bet that match could have gone 1,000 different ways. 3-4 to Kwan. So like he loses a lot of like lopsided matches, right? Even he lost to Paul last year in Cincinnati 3-2, right? He lost to Alcaraz 3-3. So he doesn't. I feel like when he loses big, right? Because I feel like he doesn't really have a plan B, because
no, he's him. I mean, he's
him, right?
He's gonna do the goofy stuff he does, but like if somebody's able to handle that mentally and physically, like I don't think like it's not even like some guys like Rublev, right? Like you'd like him to have a plan B because you think there's probably other things he could do as a plan B.
But I don't think plan A is better than Brooksby's, right?
Yeah. I'm not actually saying that Brooksby's a better player than Rublev.
Yeah,
I'm just saying in this sense that like I'm trying to look at guys like Rublev, Sinner, Brooksby, these guys who get kind of criticized for only having a plan A.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Brooksby's kind of like that too, except his is different, where like he has no plan B because like the plan B, like the tool doesn't exist.
Right. It comes back to a debate like that I have with, recreational players. Like when someone is starting to play tennis, do you teach a player to kind of hit aggressively, but they are less consistent, and then build the consistency over time? Or do you start with building the consistency and try to build the power over time?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing with Brooksby. Like Brooksby clearly like is very competitive and hates missing balls, but he's not capable of like being more aggressive and like going out there and imposing himself. Right. So, and I feel like a way harder skill set to develop, right? So I think his
upside might be really limited.
Upside is very limited.
The guy who's and maybe that's not terrible. I mean, like, look how bad
39 in the world right now. So yeah,
what?
He's 39 in the world.
How bad is top 50? Right, top 50 is not a bad record, but you might be looking at somebody who's a little limited in terms of upside.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then you look at a Lehecka or a Shelton, for example, and like when you see them in this tournament, you're like, these guys have tremendous upside. They have way better than Brooksby upside, right? So, I mean, yeah. But yeah, he got stomped. I mean, Tommy Paul's playing well. Let's put that out there. He's in the quarters. He beat RBA pretty convincingly, so he's playing well for sure. So I mean, anything else you want to add, like for our luckiest bets or most painful bets for the last?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I have some tennis takeaways, but I don't think I have anything in terms of like betting.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So what were your tennis takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, so I think the biggest guy we talk about this, right, is Lehecka. I mean, Lehecka's playing like that guy's really impressed me, man. The 2 wins, beating Norrie and beating and then backing it up with a win over FAA. And I didn't think FAA played that well. We talked about a little bit, right? FAA kind of handed him the one break he got.
Mhm.
The one break Lechka got, FA kind of handed him. Granted, FA did serve well, but and Lechka did a great job of holding back. Like, I mean, meaning like, I mean, he couldn't break FA, but he hung in there right with him and took the 2 tie breaks, right? Like a lot of players who aren't is like I was actually more impressed almost mentally, because I think a lot of players would have gotten frustrated. They were playing much better than the opponent, but couldn't put them away. Would have gotten to the tiebreak and lost. But I thought Lechka was I think his mental fortitude was really impressive.
Well, so match point 9 was actually I was talking with him on Twitter like during that match, and it was right after the Korda 5-setter, and I was like, "Is it time to live bet FAA?" Because he was down 2-1, and it was on serve in the 4th.
Yeah,
and I was like, "You could probably get FAA at a decent price, probably a plus 200 or something. Like, is it time to pounce on that?" And he talked me out of it. He was like, "Lechka has outplayed him for the majority of that match. Like, I think at that point he won 15 more points,
yeah,
which is substantial." And then I was watching that 4th set, and like almost every FAA service game, he had love 30. So he just couldn't convert, but like it was impressive. It was impressive how he was making progression on FAA's serve. So
yeah.
this guy is.
But I was impressed
is
mentally
real.
too with the fact that he kept he didn't get down. Like FAA did test him.
Right. Right.
I also don't think it's a good look on FAA. I mean, this is he had 4 tough matches here, right?
Mhm.
Four tough matches here, and I didn't think any of them should have been particularly tough. Right? Like he lost
Cerundolo, you got to beat in straight
Pospisil was a
sets.
4-setter. What?
Cerundolo, you got to beat in straight sets. Pospisil,
That
I
should be
mean,
straight sets.
and he probably should have lost that match because he lost the first 6-1 and then lost the second and third 6-6. So
Yeah. I don't think he should have lost the match, but it was like Pospisil definitely kept that match way more competitive than he should have.
yeah, and then Molchan. So I mean, it was not a good
Who
tournament
else
for
did?
him.
Oh yeah, Molchan was down 2 sets. That's not good.
Right.
Like, I mean, Molchan is terrible. He had been playing terrible. Like that's
Mhm.
So yeah, that was. I'm
Well,
I
I'm
don't
very
know, but my
curious
concern
to
level's
see.
pretty high there now. It's probably like a 7. We talked about it previously, but it keeps going up. Um. Otherwise, I mean, Khachanov playing really well,
Mhm.
really well. We
Yeah.
didn't really start talking about him yet too much, because we'll talk about him more with the quarterfinal tonight. But
Mhm.
Khachanov's playing really well. I think he's increased both his serve percentage points won and his return points won percentage by like 2% this year over last, which is a pretty significant increase. Might even be a little bit more. It might be like 3%, but
Yeah.
like that's only 1 out of 50. But that's a big deal in tennis. If you can win 1 out of 25 points is a big difference in tennis.
Yeah.
Trying
Yeah.
to
No.
think.
That match, I mean, we
Um,
touched on it a little earlier. That match versus Tiafoe was extremely impressive. And
yeah,
that was a very high quality match. And for him to be mentally strong to win that 4th set tiebreaker after being down 6-1 was quite an effort. Like he's a beast. And see, Khachanov, like he really has not been that good in the last couple of years, but I've seen him kind of play out of his mind. He had one of those crazy runs in Paris, like Holger Rune did last year in 2018, where he beat like 3 top 10 guys.
yeah,
So I think he beat Zverev, Djokovic. He also beat Djokovic in the final, and I think he also beat Dominic Thiem or something in the semis. So like he had another crazy run, and he was defending incredibly well. And if he could reach that form, that's top 10 tennis. So
I agree with that.
he has upside.
The only thing I would say back is that like I still like now the challenge is mentally, can he beat a top 10 guy?
Yes,
Because I think
definitely.
he's like 0 for his last 20 or something against the top 10. It's
Right.
really not good. So I need to see him beat a bona fide top guy. Like even win over a Tsitsipas or a Rublev would show me something. But he needs to beat a guy. He needs to beat a guy who's better than him, or not,
Yes.
who is shown he's better than him for me to be. But that aside, really good start for him. And the Medvedev match, by the way, was also a little bit depressing. That Medvedev, like the way he lost that Medvedev match, it didn't look like he could ever win that match, no matter what he did.
Right. In Adelaide. Right.
But
No, I
on the
agree
flip
with you.
side, he has looked a lot better against anybody else. The Yoshi one was impressive too, the way he just, toyed with. I mean, the first two sets, Yoshi obviously didn't play well, but like Khachanov was playing really well. Outside of just the bag, I mean, Yoshi only won like 13 points in the first two sets of that match. It was embarrassing.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, I
So
mean,
he's and then my third takeaway is probably Shelton.
mhm.
Like that kid's good, man. For a prospect, like the way he moves is
It's really
incredible.
good.
His power, but not like his movement is like he's so athletic out there.
He
Like
is. Yeah.
I'm stunned. The books have him at a plus 200 against Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I see. I think like this is I think Paul should be a favorite. I haven't really looked into that match too much. I wouldn't side with Shelton on the money line, but I'd side with Shelton plus the games probably.
It's
Well,
4, so you're getting 4 is actually really good. I already hit both. I hit both already. I hit the games
both.
and the money line. I think 4 for a Shelton match is a lot of games.
He
Just
just
his serve
serves
is
so
pretty
big,
big.
right? He's serving 140 like consistently.
Yeah,
It's crazy. So I think
but
he
he's
can
not that
also
accurate with it. He doesn't
tie
have as many
breaks.
aces you would think for somebody who's hitting 140.
Yeah, I think he needs to get better with that slice out wide. I think that's
Yeah, he needs to get more
where he
accurate in
can get
general,
better.
right? Like
Yeah,
he's hitting a
right.
lot of bombs right near the opponent, so the opponent can get him. But that sets him up for +1. So like it's not. I mean, I don't know. 140 is pretty big.
I just think Paul, I mean, he's a little bit more battle tested on the tour. I know this is a huge match for him because he's never made a semi either of a slam, but I think he just moves too well. Like the gap between movement between JJ Wolf and Tommy Paul is huge, right? Paul is just a
Oh yeah, and the gap in
superior.
defense. That's going to be the question. I think you've hit on it.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's a +200. I do think Paul wins this match, but I think 200 is kind of a laughable gap. Like, I think it should be more like a 150. Like I just think like, I mean, Shelton. I think Shelton has more weapons. Like Shelton's A game is better than Paul's A game. Like
Yeah.
Shelton can hit Paul off the court. I don't think Paul can hit Shelton off the court.
He can't, but he can move Shelton off the court. You know, that's the thing. I don't.
Oh yeah, well, I think he does. I think he will, and
Yeah.
I think he will win the match ultimately. But I do think that I'm just really surprised it's at a +200. That seems like a big line. But to be fair, also, so it's similar to what we talked about with Khachanov, but even more extreme. Like, who has Shelton beaten so far? He beat
Zhang,
uh, Zhang in a 5th set tiebreak.
right? He beat Wolf obviously in the last round. He beat
And
Pop.
Wolf is like a guy who we've kind of made fun of in the past. Like he's a real ATP pro, but like I don't know, he's maybe
Yeah, see that match yesterday. It impressed me with Wolf. I think he has a very good demeanor on the court. I think he has a lot of like assets to his game. You know, I think he needs to beef up that serve. Like he has that really good slice serve, which is hard to read, but he doesn't like
he does.
hit
That
with
slice serve is really good.
nasty.
But like he's got a lot of holes, Wolf does.
He does.
No, I mean I think he's got
He
a lot
does.
of holes.
And also physically, Shelton was stronger. That was actually the difference in that match yesterday. Like in the 5th set, Wolf just gave in physically, started cramping.
Well, and that's not
like,
surprising, right? Like
no, it's not. But like if he wants to reach that next level, like that's the next step for him, right? So
yeah, I mean, because I mean, look, that forehand Wolf has is really good.
it is.
Like he's got a really good forehand. But
He actually has an
again,
underrated
like,
backhand because he uses that left hand really well on the backhand.
he does. He did. The backhand is, yeah. I guess. I was gonna say the backhand's not bad, but he doesn't seem to be able to like consistently like. It seems like it's he either has to go for complete broke, or it's to just get the ball back in shot. Right? Isn't like I feel like he can't make like steady progression with it. Granted, how many guys can, but it feels like a very average backhand to me.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree. I'd agree with that. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
But
Shelton beat Poppy and he beat Yari. So he's beaten 3 massive, 3 guys with big games, but not a lot. He's beaten like a lot of players actually kind of like him. So like this is going to be really tough for him in that this is a complete different player type, right? Paul's like Paul's he's gonna make him play rallies. He's gonna play smart tennis.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Paul is really accurate, and he's kind of like how David Ferrer used to be, where he's 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 offensive and he's aggressive, but not with power. He's like aggressive with placement and accuracy.
Right.
Do you agree?
I would agree. I think his movement is actually the most underrated, best part of his game. He is exceptional with his movement. I mean, he's so quick around the court.
But yet he's an offensive player.
He is.
I think he's he's I think more offensive. Like a lot of your better movers are more like defensive oriented guys. But I guess I think of him as like it's weird because like he's like I don't know he's actually a really hard person for me to prototype because like
I would actually compare him to a David Goffin kind of type or a Kei Nishikori kind of type of player. That's where I would kind of put him in. Like a guy that tries to be aggressive but also moves around the court exceptionally well.
Well, that's why I mean in my mind Frere is the king of that, right? But I think that we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess what I'm saying is a really hard player to prototype. It's like he's like an offensive counterpuncher.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He doesn't have like the power that Shelton does and the explosion that Shelton does.
No. Or the serve. I think he's just going to out rally him.
Yeah, yeah. But I do think Paul wins the match. I just think Shelton has a better than 1-2 chance.
I got to see the price on Shelton winning a set. It's probably out.
It probably wouldn't be that good because he's only a plus 200. So I'm sure that'll be negative money.
We'll get into the quarterfinals a little later. Yeah.
But so Shelton's a takeaway.
So what do you think his ranking upside is? Like where do you think he ends the year, Shelton? Do you think he has top 20 potential?
This year?
This year it's probably going to be tough, but
well, no, I mean because now but what would stop him, right? Like why not this year? Like what stops him from being top 20?
I think he's really going to struggle on the clay. That's
yes, he will. That okay. So yeah, you're probably right. So he's probably not. Yeah, you're right. And yeah, and we haven't seen him on the clay, right? I doubt in the NCAA he played much clay.
Right.
So you're right. I do think that will be a major issue, and we don't know what he's gonna. We don't know. His game should do really well on the grass, but we'll have to see that too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, grass is only a couple tournaments, but still points are points.
Yeah.
So yeah, he probably ends somewhere in like the. What would you say his over under? If I put his over under at 28, what would you say his?
I think that's a bit. I think that's a bit high. I would put him in the 35-40 range.
Well, he's going to be close to that now after this run.
Yeah, but I don't think he keeps it up. Like he also made, I think, 4th round of Cincinnati, so he has points to defend there. So I think he.
But he has nothing to defend. Nothing, and he's not going to get much on the clay. But he has nothing to defend on the clay. He's going to get into any tournaments he wants now, right? Because his ranking, I think, is going to be in the top 40 after this. He'll get into any tournaments he wants. He'll keep all these Aussie Open points through the end of the year. He has almost nothing to defend. I mean, all he's defending through the end of the year.
So what's the live rankings?
Challenges. What?
Let me see the live ranking.
I think I saw somewhere he's going to go up into like the top 50. I think he's going to be like, I think right now he's like 43 or something with a chance to get into the 30s if he beats Paul. Come on.
So Paul will be 1835. So he's going to be ranked around 18 after this event. Korda will be like 16. Shelton 13-24, so he's going to be top 30, 32, 33 in that area. So I think he goes a little higher. What was your over under?
28.
Yeah, I would say so, give or take. Near there. But if I have to say, is Lehecka going to be ranked way higher than him? Absolutely, because just his clay court prowess, like the hard court is actually
he has a lot of prowess, doesn't he, Manny? I think Lehecka has a lot of general prowess. He's a very prowessy human being.
All right, fair. It's my favorite word.
It is. I think you've used it like 3 times a cast in this podcast. I don't hear anybody else use the word prowess, and I come on the podcast and I get my full intake of prowess for the night. It makes my life so much better.
I hope this podcast has a lot of prowess.
Not yet. Don't get too excited there. We got a long way to go.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I actually didn't realize he was ranked this high already. So 43, probably going to be ranked in that 30s area after this event. So yeah, I would agree with you.
He's got very little to defend besides Cincinnati because he couldn't even get into a lot of tournaments. He's got challenger points to defend, but unless he completely falls out.
True. GoFan is playing somewhere.
Who is?
GoFan. I don't know where the hell
challenger
that is, but maybe.
Well, I think you're allowed to play challengers as long as you're not like top 20.
Yeah. Some guys just want like match play, just to get a rhythm. So
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, as far as tennis takeaways, I mean that's pretty good. Any betting takeaways? Like any guys you kind of want to fade? Any guys you want to kind of think about betting going forward this year?
I mean, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, I'm still worried about FAA. That still is a concern for me. But
I'm definitely going to continue fading Sinner against top 10 players because he's also proven to be quite weak against top 10. So, he was the better player than Tsitsipas for most of that match, but the mental gap is so big. I don't think he's quite there mentally. So, that's definitely something I'm going to continue. Khachanov.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Trying to think of anybody else. How
about Bautista Agut? What do you think his prospects are going forward?
I'm honestly not high. I mean, we said a lot about January RBA, and I said a lot of positive things. This tournament was not impressive for him, right? Like, should not have lost a set to Murray, should not lose 2 sets to Bolt, should not lose. Losing to Paul is fine. It's that they might miss like a coin flip match. But I am I don't think he's done, right? He's not Schwartzman. But I will probably slightly fade him. Honestly, that whole bottom of course, that draw just fell apart. We kind of thought it would, right? That's why we had different picks there. And I do think the other team just got an unlucky draw the first round with like a healthy, like ready to go Murray.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Berrettini probably was the best player in that section. It's always easy to think about like what's straight on your head, right? We talked about Lehecka. So Lehecka's a guy. We'll see if the books catch up to him or not. Looks like they're still taking a while. So I'm surprised it's 6.5 him versus Tsitsipas. Tsitsipas would be because he's playing really well, but he's a tough I feel like the books always show him love. So it's from a betting standpoint, he's hard to I feel like it's hard to get an edge with Tsitsipas.
Well, I've had, in years past before we've done this podcast, I've actually had success betting against Tsitsipas, betting plus the games, even sprinkling a little on money line, when he wasn't playing well. So since the books give him a lot of respect for valid reasons, but yeah. So, what about Djokovic? Let's talk about him. So right now he's a -200 to win the tournament. Do you think I actually
that seems so steep, man? I don't see who's beating him, but he's got to win. I mean, he still has to show up and win 3 matches. So the books are giving Rublev. You only get +500 if you bet Rublev.
There's terrible. Oh, like just the match itself, the quarterfinal.
Yeah, I'm saying match itself. Rublev is like, I think he's like plus 500 to beat Djokovic or something. That's what I saw the most recent. But it might depend on your book. I mean, somewhere anywhere between 5 and 6. But Djokovic,
Yeah.
like my point is Rublev probably like does Rublev have a 10% chance of beating Djokovic?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So you would hit the Djokovic money line at minus 700.
I'm not gonna hit it just because of the price. Like I don't hit anything that steep odds. That's just not the way I gamble. But I would gladly hit the minus 6.5 games. I might even increase that to minus 7.5 or minus 8.5. I would hit 3 sets to love at plus 100 for Djokovic. I just think the matchup is horrible for Rublev.
Yeah, I mean, so Djokovic has like a dream draw, right? Like, I actually think like, I guess Shelton could hit him off the court for a match. I don't see how, but I guess I think
the movement gap is way too big.
I mean, that's why. But like, what you think? Can Paul beat him? Can Paul beat Djokovic?
I think Paul has a better chance just because of the movement. Like against Djokovic, it doesn't matter how big you hit because the ball is coming back regardless, right? It's guys that are able to hit big from both sides but move really well are the guys that could trouble him.
I guess.
So, I think Paul still has a better chance, but I mean it's minimal. I would, in a way, like to me, Paul and Rublev have this equal chance of beating him. That's how much I think that this matchup for Rublev, because like Djokovic is the master at exposing weakness, and Rublev has such clear weaknesses. His backhand is subpar, his net game is subpar, and Djokovic will expose all of it, and then some. Right?
I mean, he should be able to, right? The two times Djokovic has beaten him on hard, he's beaten him badly. It was like 4-1 and 3-2. I mean, you're right, man. This could be a runaway. This could be 4-2.
That's what I'm expecting, especially if his hamstring is feeling better, which I think it is. I don't think it was a big concern to begin with. I'm going to hit Djokovic in multiple ways. I want, I want that match to be competitive. I want to see a test, but like I just don't see it. I just don't see it, man.
So, well, the crazy is that even the other half of the drop, right? Like who is the test for Djokovic? Tsitsipas, like a Tsitsipas playing well, I think. Is that still a bad matchup probably for Tsitsipas, but he probably has a chance? What do you think?
So Tsitsipas took him to 7-6 in Paris and did play well, and Tsitsipas has taken sets off of him. I think he's such
an beaten him.
He hasn't beaten him since like 18, I think. I can pull up the head-to-head here. So it's 10-2. See, they played 4 and 6 at the ATP finals. It was 6-2, 3-6, 7-6 in Paris.
But Tsitsipas taking the last 9 in a row, man.
Djokovic, you mean?
Yeah, Djokovic. Yeah, Tsitsipas, Djokovic. I mean, yeah, but I mean, yeah, and so on hard, you're right. 3 sets in Paris, really tight. 2 tight sets in the finals. Got beat pretty good in Astana. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. Like Tsitsipas, I don't even know if Tsitsipas is better than one. I mean, maybe that's the right play. I mean, maybe nobody that's left.
It's clearly the right play, even minus 200. And I know we're not big on women's tennis on this podcast, but I would actually consider parlaying it with Sabalenka if you want better odds, because Sabalenka has clearly been the best player on the women's tour, and she solved her serving yips. So
I've read about that. She brought like a biomechanics or something to help her out.
Like that. And she played lights out tennis against Belinda Bencic. So, and I think like over half of her points won have been winners, which is just ridiculous.
It's really ridiculous.
So I would actually consider that. I think she's the clear favorite on the women's side, and you could get plus 250 on her or 225. So if you want to lower the Djokovic odds, I would consider parlaying it with her. that's probably the play, because if you laying 200 on someone to win 3 matches with someone who's still nursing a slight injury, like I think the injury is false. I've said that many times, but like, just the fact that he is like that leg is strapped, like maybe you don't want to risk.
Who's the second favorite out there?
Tsitsipas.
And what is he, like, plus 500 or something? Plus
I
1,000?
think so. Plus 350. I don't like those odds.
That's horrible. How is the
Horrible.
either minus 200 and the second guy plus 350? That makes no sense.
Yeah, then you got
Right? I saw Lechko was out there at 40 to 1. What do you think about that?
no. He's 50 to
No?
1.
What?
Shelton is actually 40 to 1. Lechka's 50 to 1. Probably because Lechka is a way tougher quarterfinal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I see. Do you think Korda has a better chance of beating Djokovic than Tsitsipas?
It's a better matchup, right? Like, that's a more interesting matchup, I think.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the styles. But maybe not. I mean, maybe because like Tsitsipas actually on that forehand, he uses like spin and angles and like, he like
He's such a good attacking player, right?
and he like, but he's also like he's not like a power attacker, right? Like he has power, but he's not just a pure power attacker. He also attacks and I think that's the way you have to attack Djokovic. I think you have to move him in multiple directions. Like we talked about this with Medvedev, right? Like you actually have to move him like forward and back, like not all the way in forward, but like slightly forward, like a forward angle. Like you have to make him move in multiple directions.
I'd agree.
If you just let him run side to side behind the baseline, you're done.
Right. Yeah,
so
and uses angles. I mean, I think he
and
needs.
Tsitsipas is really good at the net, which is also important because like
his transition game from the forehand into the net is really good. Like the approach shot approaching into the net. And he places the serve probably slightly better than Korda. I don't think Korda's serve is quite good enough to last 5 sets.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Korda's obviously the cleaner ball striker, right?
But I don't even know. But we don't even know what Korda has left in the tank, right? Like, he had a tough 3-setter with Medvedev. I mean, he looked gassed against Hurkacz. Looked gassed, I thought.
Well, I think that's a smooth transition. So, let's go right into the quarters today.
All righty, quarterfinals, baby.
Quarterfinals.
So, I've got a thought for you.
Yeah.
How cool would it be if they had one stadium and put 4 courts in one like massive stadium and played all 4 quarters simultaneous?
I'd hate that because then you can only watch one match. You'd have to watch all 4 at once.
Yeah.
That'd be horrible from a viewing standpoint.
I guess it wouldn't make much sense from a TV perspective. I'm thinking more of like if you were in that stadium, it'd be amazing.
Not really, because I want to focus on each and every match. Now we're at the top 8, so this is the time when we go nuts on props and like all these other side bets and stuff. Like
I guess. I don't know. I love the idea of having like just like the simultaneous just like constant because then like when a match goes through a lull, there's never a lull, right? If one match is in a lull, you got another match to go to. It's like I don't know. It's
to be honest, though, very few matches have really been like duds, right? Besides the Djokovic de Minaur and maybe the Wolf Mo match, like every match has kind of had some twists and turns and some like exciting scorelines, right?
Not every match, but a lot of them, yeah. I mean, it's been a pretty good tournament for close
28 5-setters or something like that.
What?
There have been 28 5-setters.
That's actually pretty amazing.
It's pretty high,
yeah. All right, you might be right.
All right, so Khachanov Korda. So I know we think alike on this. We both have Khachanov money line at plus 110, right?
Yeah, I got him at plus 118, but it's the same thing. I probably would have hit it at plus 110 also. I think this is actually pretty close to a coin flip match. When I saw it come out, and this morning I didn't love it. But what talked me into Khachanov is 2 things. Actually 3 things. So first, I mean, Khachanov is playing really well. I just talked about he's increased his serve and his return points 1% by 2% this year over last. The second thing is that I thought that Korda looked really listless against Hurkacz.
I do too.
I just thought like not energetic, and that's really scary to me because like my question is he out of gas? Because I think like what's Korda's deepest run in a slam besides this? Maybe the third round. You know this
No,
is way
he made
better
a
than me, but
16.
I don't.
He made a 16 at Wimbledon and the French prior to this.
Okay, so then it's not his deepest run, but I felt like he was really, really listless against Medvedev, or not Medvedev, against Hurkacz. And Hurkacz can do that to you, but and then the other concerning thing about that match was Korda only hit 8 aces in 5 sets against Hurkacz, who's one of the worst returners on tour. I actually had the over on like 10.5 aces for Korda in that.
Yeah.
And he didn't get there in 5 sets. So I was kind of like, A, I was kind of disappointed, but B, I think that's a bad omen. Just because like if you're tired, right, the ability to hit aces is one thing that goes away.
It seemed like not physical though. It just seemed like a mental. Just like that match against Hurkacz was like a really tight match on both sides because I think both felt the pressure of making like a quarterfinal. So it was more mental, and I just think that like he didn't recover mentally from that win against Medvedev. Like that was such a big win and such a big occasion for him that I just think like it was hard for him to get back up from that.
Yeah, I have a tough time figuring out if it was physical or mental because like he looked really like it looked like he didn't have any energy. And like Manny, you could be 100% right. I think that's 100% in the realm of possibility. Mm-hmm. But like if he was out of energy physically, he also would have looked like that. Right, like Hurkacz, that match is never going to be physical in terms of like long rallies and stuff. That's not really like a Hurkacz match isn't going to look like that because he's so much better on serve than return. But so that was my that's my and then the third thing on court is I looked actually, and this is kind of fascinating. So neither his I think he's doing a little better returning serve this year than he did last, but he's actually doing a little bit worse in terms of service points won this year versus last, which is really fascinating given that the hype around all these big wins, right? And then the other fascinating thing is Korda was basically a 500 tiebreaks player last year, which is what you would expect, right? He was like an average ATP player, so he was playing around, average in tiebreaks.
Right.
He's 8-1 this year so far in tiebreaks.
Wow.
Which is an anomaly, right? Like nobody goes 8-1 in tiebreaks over the
Tiafoe like, did.
What?
Tiafoe did during the Open last year.
No, but nobody does it over the long run, right? Like that's a short-term anomaly thing. Like even Djokovic is only like 70 or 75% in tiebreaks. Like he might have been like 14-5 or something, or like 14-8. Like he's not, So
like, you think there's going to be regression to the mean, is what you're saying with him, right?
Yeah, and I think he's probably a better player than when he's his seed of 29, right? But I think he's, I think he's probably between top 10 and top 20.
Okay, all right.
Like I'm not putting him in that top 10 group yet. I might not even put him in the 10 to 15 group yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going with Khachanov for a very similar reason than you are. Like, I also think that Khachanov is going to be really fresh coming off that pretty easy win over Yoshi. Like, and he's just striking the ball really cleanly. And I think Khachanov should be a slight favorite in this match, right? He's also had more experience in slams, making a deep run at the US Open last year. So I just think like to get him at plus money, that price is really good.
I think so too. I think he should be.
I think it should be pretty even, maybe slight favorite to Khachanov, but
I don't think anybody should be plus. Like the book should be taking enough vig that nobody should be plus money in this matchup.
I would agree with that. But so that means if you can get someone at plus money, you just take that.
Yeah. Right? But what we really need to talk about is the fun props for this this bet.
Yes, this is a lot of fun.
So I'm sure you got some props, Manny. What props do you have?
So I have exactly 5 sets at plus 225. I think that there's a potential for a long match. They played once before in a slam at Wimbledon, a really tight, entertaining match that went 10-8 in the 5th. So I think it could be another one like that. There's a sample size, although a small sample size for a tight 5-setter. So I think if you get a over plus 200, I think that's worth taking. Khachanov over 2.5 breaks versus Korda. I think that's a no-brainer. Even though it's -150, I think that's an easy hit.
I actually hit it over 3.5 and plus 105. So yeah,
I
I
would
agree
take that
with you.
too. I would take that too. But like the fact that her catch broke Korda multiple times, I think more than 4 times in that match, just basically screams you to take Khachanov over the breaks, because like Khachanov is a better returner than her catch. And he broke Korda's serve multiple times. So I just think you have to take that, and it's going to be a long match. I just like I don't necessarily see so many tie breaks here either. Like I think there could be breaks. So especially it looks like they're going to be playing indoors as well. I don't know. Does that make these courts a little faster or slower? Looks like it's raining.
I don't know, but the indoor takes wind somewhat out of play, right? So like that does,
Right.
you know, and it takes the sun out of play, right? So it does that.
And then I have Korda under 11.5 aces. I don't. He didn't have many aces against her catch, as you just mentioned, right? So, I think he's kind of lost a little rhythm on serve. So I don't necessarily think he's going to be bombing serves past Khachanov. Same number of doubles at plus 550. So I looked this up, like they double at pretty much the same rate, I would say. I think both of them have averaged about 4 doubles in the match. So I think that has a chance to hit. And then over 190.5 minutes, which is 3 hours and 10 minutes. So if I think it's
I love that. I love the over on the minutes.
Yeah. So yeah, if it goes 4 sets, then I probably cash that. So what props do you have, Brad?
Yeah, so I gotta look and I gotta remember now. I have the under on total aces at like 25. So I think you took. What did you say? You just took? Did you take the over on Khachanov aces?
No, I took the under on Korda aces.
Oh, okay. So I had that 100% wrong. So yeah, I have the under on the total instead. So Korda is one of the best returners on the tour, not being aced.
Okay.
And I also don't think Korda is going to hit very many because of like he's potentially gassed. The fact that he only aced her cats 8 times is concerning to me. So I have the under. I think that's like 25 or something, and I have the under there. I think that could go way under. So that's probably my fate. I have a time bet as well, so I'm similar to you there.
You just got it at a better price than I did, right?
I did. Yeah, I got it at 170, I think, or something.
It's really good. Yeah.
Gotta look this up. I can never remember what I got. Too many bets. That might be it. I maybe didn't find it. Oh, I have Korda to win and both players to win a set, and that's sitting out there at
You mean Khachanov to win, but both players.
Yeah, Khachanov to win and both players to win a set. That's sitting out there at plus 200.
Okay. That's good. That's a really good bet. I like that.
Other than that, yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. I might end up, I don't know. I heard what you were talking about some of those props. I kind of like some of those too, but I looked through the specials. I mean, other than that, I didn't see a whole lot that I loved. Like, it's tough, man. The book just takes so much vig. Like,
yeah, there's so many props. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing another like betting takeaway is like I've been trying to hit on one of these props, like players to win their first 3 service games to love or 15. I realized that they just never hit, right? It's just like
it's really hard to do. It's really hard to happen. I actually think that like in this match there might actually be a play here to try for one of those. Like if Korda just comes out with no energy, I could see one of those coming through for Khachanov. And it's at the longer odds, but I don't know.
Yeah, I just think there's so much luck and like you don't know how these guys are feeling or coming out.
Well, it's tough. The problem with these like they're all like those long odds are like they're gonna lose most of the time, right? That's why you're getting paid 25 to 1. I actually think the no doubles props are interesting. Like if it's a runaway kind of match, like I don't know that I necessarily hate like picking one of the guys and going no doubles.
Depends on the price though, because some guys are more
It's 20,
prone
you
to
get 25 to
doubles.
1 on this for this match on
25 to
either guy
1 at
going no
no
doubles.
doubles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I would hit it in this match because both guys tend to be kind of aggressive off the return. So I think there might be a few doubles here. Maybe in another match I would. Maybe in the Shelton Paul match I might tinker with that or something. But
Shelton just doubles too much, I think, to have to
Shelton
hit
doubles
that.
a
Like,
lot. Yeah. Well, no, I don't. He didn't. He barely doubled yesterday.
no, but I think for his career so far, and granted it's hard because like you're looking at like a very short career that obviously he's still improving, but I think
Yeah.
his career double fault percentage is like near 5%, which is pretty high.
Okay. I mean, yesterday.
Yesterday was
Shelton
much better because I actually had hit the over on him to double fault. I think it
he
only
only
went for
doubled
once or twice.
once in 5 sets
Yeah.
yesterday. So
So that's true, but he doubled. He played a lot. Like he had as many like doubles as he had aces
yeah, maybe it's just too erratic.
in Auckland. What?
Yeah, also nerves might come into play. I know I factor in nerves way more than you do. I feel like everyone is tight for every match that the right. You made fun of me for that. Like I just think everyone
I
is
mean, you do. I mean, just because you get tight for every match, man, it doesn't mean that everybody does. Like that might be. You might need to go see a sports psychologist for your matches against me, your upcoming matches against me, because
I might need a
clearly that's
betting
what's in your head.
psychologist, especially if
What?
I have more losses like Holger Rune and Rublev. I might need a betting psychologist, let alone a sports psychologist. Yeah, but I don't know. I always put nerves into effect. That's the reason why I live bet Felix against Lechka. Even though match point 9 talked me out of it, I just couldn't help myself because I thought Lechka would get tight.
So you gave match point 9 for talking you out of it, and they didn't actually successfully do it.
No, he
They
did
need to be
not.
more convincing. You can't stop the Manny.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we're
All
kind
right, so I think that probably kills that match. What are your thoughts on Stefanos versus
Jiri.
Lechka tonight?
So I love this line, Tsitsipas Lechka over 3.5 sets. That's my bet of the day. To get that at -120 for Lechka to just win a set, I think is fantastic. I just think Lechka just has he hasn't I mean, he's proved me wrong. Nerves don't have not factored into his performance in the first 4 rounds. Even though he's playing really good opponents. So I think
So my bet of the day is the same but different. I like Lechka plus 6.5 games at -110.
I have that bet too. I have that bet too here. So I think that hits as well. So I like that. Plus, I think there might be a tiebreaker, in the second set or something. I mean, Griekspoor forced the tiebreaker against Tsitsipas. So
Tsitsipas been really, like I said, Tsitsipas been really good. I don't think Lechka wins this, by the way. I don't think the Lechka money line here is a smart play.
I don't think so either, but I think him forcing a fourth set is a smart play here.
Yeah, I think that's possible at even money.
Yeah.
My favorite here is the games because I think that Tsitsipas still is not the best returner, right? He still is probably average, just below average on his return game. Right. And I mean, Lechka could lose. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. Lechka could lose 4-4-4, and that gets you, that's -6. Speaking of which, man, what's the prop on that? What's the prop on Lechka losing 4-4-4, 3-4-4?
Ooh, good question.
Prop odds on that. I gotta look that up. It's probably like 30 to 1 or something. That might be the bet here.
4-4-4.
3-4. There's usually a prop for a guy losing a set every set 3 or 4. It's probably down even further. It's probably 20 to 1 you're getting at least. Oh no, you're not. Look, I just saw it. You just passed it. You're only getting 12 to 1 on it. That's not that good.
No, but that's Tsitsipas or Lechka to win each set 3 and 4.
Oh no, yeah. That's so weird because Tsitsipas to win every set 3 or 4 is 1,200. So that's just a messed up line.
So I actually prefer this Tsitsipas to win 3, 4, and 6 at 150 to 1. That might be the prop I hit here. But
I just don't know. So yeah, maybe that looks pretty good to me. That's pretty tasty.
But it's tasty at the price, but at the same time, it's based on like who serves first, right? Because it has to be 3, 4, and 6. Lehecka to win the match, serve most aces, infused number doubles. I mean, we don't think Lehecka wins the match, so I don't think we should stay away from that. Like this, I think has no value. Tsitsipas to win his first 3 service games to love. I don't like. I think Lehecka is a way good enough returner to win a couple points on return. So I don't think. What was the Lehecka break prop? Because I could see him breaking twice. Is it 1.5?
I'm guessing it's 1.5. You can scroll down, but I'm gonna guess it's one. If like 1.5 feels like the prop there to me.
Oh. Tsitsipas 4.5. Yeah, 1.5 at minus 150. Ugh.
I don't like it.
I would like it at like minus 110 or plus 100 because
that's what I'm saying. Like that line's crappy, I think, for both, right? Like I think it's like the book just takes so much juice on that. Like
yeah, they are.
I'm tempted to rock that under 6.5 on the total breaks.
It might be a decent play because Lehecka only broke Tsitsipas once in that entire match.
FAA, you mean? But yeah,
FAA, right?
And I don't think Tsitsipas is going to break more than once a set. I think Lehecka's a good enough competitor to not get broken a second time, even if he gets broken once.
And I think he's good enough to force a tiebreak or even squeak out a set.
So, yeah, well, squeaking out a set isn't so good for that.
That's true.
You'd rather have him get to a tiebreak and lose.
Yeah, I mean, since you bet, well, you bet the plus 6.5, but like I bet the over 3.5 sets.
I did both, like you.
You did both, so that might be a good hedge, right? If you bet under 6.5, you could that's a way to hedge that bet.
Yeah, and it's at plus low, but it's yeah, you're hedging at minus money, but yeah. But both could get there, right? Both could come true. Both also could come false,
right.
But both could come true.
Right. So I think we think alike there. Lehecka to be very competitive, but not win the match, right? And I think this is where his run ends, right? He's had a
I don't know. I mean, you said very I guess he'll be very competitive. I don't think he's gonna be like it's gonna be like an all-time classic.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going 5. You know, I think it's probably, you know, if I was setting the lines, I'd probably set the line at like if the line was 5 or 5.5, I'd have a lot harder time taking the games on Lehecka. I think 6.5 is like just enough to get me in.
What would the price need to be for you to sprinkle a little on the Lehecka money line here?
Probably not that much further off of where it is because it's what plus 485 there. So it's 45, and that line shot up, by the way, during the day. So people must have been hitting this because like I think when that came out, it was only like plus like 400 or plus 350. Like, so that line is shot up also. But I still don't like it. Like
I'd need to hit if it was plus 550, I'd sprinkle a little bit, but.
I think you and I are on the same page. It would need to be at least plus 500, maybe plus 550, 600, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go to tomorrow's semis or tomorrow's quarterfinals. Let's start with the Rublev Djokovic match. So
this line shot up too. This was at 6 when it came out. It was Rublev was getting 6 games. Now he's getting a 7th game.
I still like the 7 games. I'm hitting the 7.
I'm staying away. 7 is just so much. Like
it is, but
a player of Rublev's caliber, 7 is a ton. But that's how much respect I have for Djokovic that he could cover it. That I'm not just drilling Rublev, right? But I'm staying away because, like, I mean, Djokovic didn't cover 7 against Dimitrov.
Yeah, I actually think the matchup is better for Djokovic against Rublev because Rublev just hammers balls. Rublev's
right? Just a better player. Like,
He's a better player overall, but Dimitrov is more crafty and opens up the court in different ways. And like I think them and Djokovic has never liked the backhand slice, right? That's always he in his past he's always struggled to attack that. So I think the matchup against Dimitrov is worse for him than Rublev. I just think this is a perfect matchup.
I agree with you, but 7's a lot of games. It's just a lot of games. It's like
if this was Holger Rune, I certainly would not hit that. But against Rublev, 100%. I'd probably go up to 8. If I could still get 8 at like if I could get 8 at like plus 175, I'd hit that.
Well, you're not going to, but here 7 is plus 105. So
yeah, I might even go with the alternate line and go with 8.
8's a lot. If you think 7's a lot, 8's really a lot.
I don't respect Rublev in this matchup. I respect Rublev as a player, but not in this matchup. This is just
Are you sure? You have not given a whole lot of Rublev respect on this podcast.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I gave him respect against
over-unders. I'm surprised the first set. So that's interesting. The first set over-under is the standard 9.5. For a match with a pretty for a match with like a pretty big favorite, right? I'm surprised 9.5. Like, I don't know. I'm tempted to take the under there.
It depends on who serves first, though.
But does it really? Because like, do we think Djokovic is gonna have a hard time breaking Rublev's serve?
You don't. That's true. I think it's easier, like because part of that bet goes into the coin flip, right? So I don't like taking that just because there's that level of randomness that's associated with it.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I'm staying away from that. But I understand your point. If there's one to take there, it's definitely the under. But I just don't like that the coin flip is kind of like built into that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What are some of these props? Let's see here. Like, this is just horrible. Rublev to win the match at over 31.5 games. Well, I guess if he wins, it's going to be over, right?
Yeah, you're basically getting an alternate Rublev money line there.
Right. This is also a bad match to go to a final set tiebreak at plus 1,400. That's like, no.
Yeah. How do you like that Djokovic to leave 3-1 after 4 games in each of the first 2 sets? That looks appetizing to me at 800.
That's appetizing.
The other one that's appetizing is usually a 4-2. The 4-2 isn't going to be as good. So I like that a lot. Yeah, I mean, the books here are just giving Rublev no respect, and I think deservedly so.
Deservedly so. I actually like this. Djokovic to win every set 3 or 4 at plus 2,500. I actually like that.
I don't. I think the problem is like, so you just said you like Djokovic plus like minus 7 or 8 games. He doesn't get there if that hits. I actually think Djokovic's going to win a set 6-2 here.
He's going to win a set 6-2.
I think there's a high likelihood of it. And I also think like Rublev's enough of a competitor. So here's the thing. Like, yeah, I don't like the 3, 3, and 4 here. Like, I think either Rublev's going to be competitive for a set, or he's going to completely go away in a set. And I think both could be true. Like, I could see this being like 4, 6, and 2.
I don't see 6. I see like 4, 3, and 2. Or, I mean, if Rublev competes really hard and plays his best, it's 3, 3, and 4, or 3, 4, and 4, which is why
I don't think that's that bet at that price. Rublev's a good enough player to get to 5 in a set.
Against Djokovic, slam Djokovic.
I mean, still, like, I guess not. What was the Aussie Open final we played in Dallas? He played ridiculously. There was the 19 Aussie Open final, the 18, I guess, maybe not against that Djokovic, but against like a standard final Djokovic. Like, if Rublev plays, I'm not saying Rublev will get there, but I'm saying if Rublev like is playing well, he should be able to get to like 3 or 4 or to get to 5 in a set once.
How about this? Djokovic to win in straight sets and win each set love 1, 2, 3, or 4. I like that. Plus 550.
550 though.
I mean, it's basically how much respect are we giving Rublev, right?
Yeah. I guess I like that. I'll probably hit that. I feel like at
I like that a
550,
lot.
it's yeah.
The fact that you're getting the same odds for that and the same odds for Rublev to win his first service game, first set, and the match at the same odds,
It's kind of hilarious.
hilarious.
Like, yeah.
So yeah, I mean that basically covers this match. So
Yeah. So I mean,
you
the
like
last one is who? Is Paul and
this is
Paul and
appetizing.
Shelton, the young Americans. They're the Americans. Paul, I mean, Paul's still young, but he's not that young anymore.
Wait, before I just saw this line. I love under 19 games at plus 150 for Djokovic. Or
Well, why would you hit that and not hit the plus 550 for every set 6-0, 6-1, 6-2, 3, or 4?
Good point. That's a good point. Yeah, that's true. Basically, you're getting that it's the same bet, right?
Not exactly, because if he gets to 7 once, you push on the 19.
Yeah, true. So the books kind of think that he's going to get to 7 in one set, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely hitting this bet. Djokovic to win in straight sets and win each set. Love 1, 2, or 3, or 4. I love that.
Yeah.
So, all right, last match: Shelton and Paul. So, what are your takeaways here? Where are you leaning?
Wow. No, that money line. That money line go up? Is that 225 now? Or is that 205?
205.
205. So it's where it was sitting. I hit Shelton on both the games and the money line here. I think 200 is too good of a price. I do think Paul wins this match. I think it's a bad matchup for Shelton. But I do like the 200 price. It was too appetizing. And then I really like the games with Shelton. I think even more. Like I think 4 is a lot of games for a Ben Shelton match. With the serve.
How he serves. Yeah. Have they ever played?
I mean, he could lose 6-6 and 6. Right? If Wolf can't break him, why do we think that Tommy Paul can if the Wolfman can't?
Paul is a better player than Wolf. Just
that was a joke. He's sarcastic. All
right. Okay. Fair.
I agree. He's gonna get broken in this match. It's not gonna be like the Popperin or the
Paul's a way better mover.
Yeah.
Close. Yeah. So but you still like Shelton plus the games, and you sprinkle a little on the Shelton money line. Any props? What do you like the total here?
Dude, I mean, we talked about this before, right? Like, just these totals are just like these totals are just rough, right? On 4-set matches, so much rougher than 3-set matches. Like 40, like if the match goes 4 sets, is that 40? Probably. But not definitely.
Probably 40. Yeah. It's a well-set line. That's where it should be.
Yeah, I mean, the more I look at it, this line is probably pretty close to good, but I think I slightly like Shelton. I don't know. I haven't really looked at it yet. Break props, so 2.5 for Shelton and 3.5 for Paul. I mean, I'll have to research this more. I didn't research it yet because I have tonight to research this, but
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll have a better answer on Twitter probably tomorrow morning, but it's I don't know, man. It's these look pretty close at first glance. I have a really hard time betting on Shelton matches because there's just there's such little career data on him, right? Because
it's low sample size.
And who is the compare? Like, what challenger match do I look at to compare to Tommy Paul?
Yeah, I guess you could look at his run in Cincinnati. I guess that's a decent place to start. Yeah, he played challengers, Champaign, Knoxville, Charlottesville. So he's played a lot of mainly challengers. He's won everything. We could see why with how good he is. He lost to Norrie Love in 2, but then beat Rude and Sonego in Cincinnati. Lost to Isner in Atlanta. Yeah, there's very little tour data. But he's doing exceptionally well on the Challenger Tour. And obviously now he's going to be just a mainstay in the tour, right? Because his ranking is going to be up to probably what, top 40 now. So
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, now we'll start to get some data, right? Like,
yeah. So I'm leaning a couple places here. So I don't mind the 4. Like if I'm betting the game spread, I definitely lean Shelton here. Just because of his serve, but I actually prefer the set prop here. I prefer the Paul -1.5 sets at -125. That's probably where I go here. I just think Paul just has such an edge in the movement department that I just think it's going to be very, very difficult for Shelton to hit through Paul. So
yeah, I like Paul -7.5. I like Paul -7.5. I was thinking Paul's gonna make Shelton play a lot longer points, right? So that actually, I think he actually could. Like, Shelton's not a guy who's out of shape, but I am interested to see what a long, like a truly long Ben Shelton match looks like in terms of like, and I guess I didn't see the Zhang match, so maybe the Zhang match was that. But I mean, I'd be interested to see what a long Ben Shelton, like a match, like if he has to hit, like if he has to rally, do long rallies, but like in the 4 sets, does he still have the same explosion, right? Because like Shelton is such an explosive athlete, and a lot of times guys like that wear down come the 4th set if they have to like go long rallies, right? Which, and we haven't seen him do that yet. Like,
yeah, he seemed to be pretty fit against JJ Wolf, but coming back,
but that was a lot of short rallies.
That's true.
It will be harder to win individual points in this match.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
But overall, I probably need to wait, and tomorrow I'll probably have a much better opinion of this match tomorrow. I think I need to marinate on this one a little bit. This one's tough.
It is. It is. I'm looking forward to it though. Like I'm super excited about this match.
Well, and it's also exciting to see some new young Americans, right? Like,
it is.
And some of it's the draw, granted, but I'm really excited to see a Shelton and a Paul and these guys out there.
Yeah. But like looking at these lines, like that's the only bet that really catches my attention, the -1.5 sets. I actually really like that. I might actually go under 2.5 breaks for Shelton. I think it's going to be he had a hard time breaking Wolf's serve, right? So
he got 4 of them.
Huh?
He got 4.
Yeah, but it was when I think Wolf kind of Wolf started conserving energy for the next set.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. So I only take 2 of those breaks, kind of like.
You think Wolf was conserving energy for the next set in the 5th set?
No, okay, not that one, but he was out of gas there, right? So
again, I'm just teasing. I hear what you're saying. I don't necessarily disagree. I was just sometimes I have to tease.
I Paul over 3.5 breaks. I mean, I think that's the appropriate line, but I think the thing is that if he breaks, I don't know if Shelton breaks back, right? So if he breaks 3 times, he might just win that in straight sets, right? So I don't know. I don't necessarily I think that's the appropriate line, so I wouldn't take that.
Yeah, I think like looking at it right now, I think a lot of those lines are pretty well set. So I'm probably like maybe some of the, maybe there'll be something, maybe something will move, maybe something will happen. I'll definitely check in tomorrow. I haven't given up on betting that match yet, but we'll, I'm sure I'll have 8 more prop bets. I love prop bets too much, but we'll see. I don't know.
I'm sure you'll have a few bets on that match.
What?
I can bet that you will have a few bets on that match.
Over under a number of Brad bets.
Over under is probably like 5.5. And
say 4.5, because I already have 2 down. So my over under is 4.5.
Okay,
but 5 pretty close. I'll have something, I'm sure, by tomorrow.
Yeah, we should have on Twitter, people should comment they should bet on the number of bets that we place on each match. I think that's a good that's something good for our viewers to do.
Our viewers who are so enthralled by our
Yeah.
Because we're just that important in our viewers' lives, I mean, all 12 of them.
Yeah, that being said, the back and forth this week with Match Point 9 and Tidbits Tennis has been amazing.
Man, you love that guy, man. He's your boy now.
He is. I just like before I met you and before like I haven't really had like friends to really talk tennis with, so tennis is such a niche sport. So like you find people that love football and basketball, and I have friends that don't watch sports at all, and that's perfectly fine. But like it's just nice to meet tennis people, So yeah. All right. Anything last thoughts? Anything you want to add? I think the Khachanov Korda match is just starting, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little more energetic, man. I'm feeling like, I'm getting that like quarterfinals boost.
Yes.
Feeling a little more energetic. I got some sleep last night instead of watching that choke job by Holger, and then I actually did wake up. So it's funny. I woke up at 2:30 in the morning. I saw it was 5-all in the fifth, and I just couldn't get my energy up to watch the match. So I figured I wouldn't be able to sleep at all then. And then I was also and then I woke up at 5 and I was checking the Djokovic score and I saw it was like 2 sets and like a break, and I was like, I don't need to see that either. So I just went back to bed.
Good call. Good call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I think it's hilarious that like the best quarterfinal matchup between players, like the only top 5 matchup, is probably the least interesting one.
I agree with that. It's a good point. Yeah, and I think it's less interesting than you do, right? You actually think Rublev could cover 7 games, right?
Yeah. I think that's more talking about how much we think of 7 games than it is how much we think of Rublev. But
yeah, I know. Well, I think
it's just a bad matchup. But yeah, all right.
So next week,
also, I think this ended up going over 2 hours. So this was another long cast,
another long one. But just like to go over the schedule. So I think we will. It's the week, so we'll probably take the semis off. Maybe we'll do a short pod because there are only 2 matches. If we can find some time, I'd like to do a short pod for the final, just like go over.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely pod the final. We'll commit to that. Yeah. I'd love to pod the semis as well. Maybe we just hop on but it would be probably a short pod, looking like a 30-minute episode or something. There's just so many fewer matches to review now too, so our review would be very short.
Yeah, but with all the props up, I think it will be interesting. And now they changed.
I'm saying the review of our bets looking back, right? Our back-looking piece would be probably 10 minutes, and we'd have a pretty it'll probably be a shortened segment.
Right. And then next week, I think there's an off week. I mean, there might be a few Davis Cup matches. I think there's the Davis Cup World Group.
There is, yeah. That's the schedule is Davis Cup World Group next week, but then that's
So I don't know how much there's going to be covered. Maybe we'll just tweet our favorite matches there. And then the week after,
Man will be covering the challengers. He'll be covering the futures. He'll be covering whatever exos are going on. It might not even be tennis. It might be like Rublev playing like
pickleball.
Rublev playing like Djokovic in soccer, or maybe it might be like I'm sure Manny will have a bet on that. Djokovic -1.5.
And then the 250s start right after that. I think there's like 3 250s each week, right?
Oh yeah, it's insane. It'll be 250s. It's gonna be amazing. More 250 action you guys can dream of. No, we're done with this slam stuff.
This is boring. This is boring. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better than having 3 tournaments in random cities with like random draws,
Yeah. All right, everyone. So enjoy the quarterfinals. Korda Khachanov is just about to start, so we'll catch.
Let's go.
Later. All right. Take care, guys.